So let's move on here. So let's get to the gear section here. So let's talk about. We're going to start with Davis J. We want to talk, Dave. What gear did you get in your studio in 2022? And what's your favorite piece of gear that you got in 2022? And did you sell anything off that you said, this was cool, but I'm going to flip it and get something else? Because we've all done that at least 5 times a year.
Yeah, what gear did I add in 2022? Pretty much all of it. If you go back and watch my studio tour, I can pretty much say that the vast majority of what I have in here came in within the past 12 to 18 months. So like I said, let's refer back to when we started the channel. Pretty much everything came in after that. The few pieces I had before that, like the ART Pro VLA, my interface, of course. And, a couple other smaller pieces. Yeah, they've been here for a while. But for the most part, I think I pretty much started last year in the fall with the Black Lion B17-2A, as I was recently told it's pronounced. It's the B17-2A, not the B172A, which was the first really serious piece I added. And then the Fusion came in, and I know I had the warm audio bus compressor before we started the channel. That was the first real warm audio piece I've had. And I was using an ART preamp on the master bus, but then I added the WA73 and the WA412A to the master bus stuff. And then, like I said, the rest of it, mainly the 500 rack came in this year and all the modules in it. So that would be like the 2 SPLs, the DBXs, the Lindell pieces I have, the Lindell Pultec, and then the Lindell stereo FET compressor. I bought those 2 SSL modules off of you, and I built those 2 do-it-yourself recording equipment modules. So that's pretty much everything I added. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I added, except for a couple extra patch bays, which became necessary. But Yeah,
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But let's think about what's your favorite piece of gear that you bought out of all that shit. We'll answer a couple of questions. So Abe wants to know, when tracking vocals with compression, do you have a target area you're aiming for as far as gain reduction? If I'm tracking vocals, when I was tracking vocals, I mean, it really depends. But normally, personally, when I was tracking vocalists, because vocals are I wouldn't compress it all that much. Maybe 3-5 dB. It depends on the performance and the vocalist, but I always wanted to leave. I didn't want to squash it too much, because when it gets in the track and it gets to mixing, you can't uncompress it. So if it was and sometimes not at all. I mean, it would depend on the performance, the singer, the type of song, how well they work the microphone, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I would always run it through a compressor just to kind of knock down the peaks and maybe a few dB. And again, that's a broad answer. But that's where I would start. I wouldn't be compressing 10, 12 dB on a vocal on the way in. Now, I would maybe do that at mixing if you needed it, but not usually on the way in. Hope that makes sense. Okay.
It also, I think, depends on the performance too, because like when I record vocals, I mean, I haven't done any vocal recording with all the hardware I have, but I would use a plug-in compressor. And I guess it depended on the performance. If you had somebody that was really, really dynamic and had trouble controlling their levels, I would hit it harder than somebody who was actually like more experienced on the mic and knew how to adjust,
Yeah,
So
again, it depends on the performance, the singer. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but in general terms, not too much if I could help it. I mean, I remember at times even not even riding a compressor, but if a singer was really kind of a little bit all over the place, I would actually ride the preamp. You know what I mean? Coming in to make sure I had a little bit more of a level performance, but which is compression, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah. Anyway, the question was, what was the favorite piece of gear I added?
Yep, I didn't forget. Go ahead.
Without a doubt, the DBX 560As.
That's and if you guys didn't see the video, if you didn't see the video, we just did. It just went up, I think, the other day.
Yeah.
Those are great little compressors for the money. $275. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt, the DBX 560A. They're like, I think I said in my studio tour that that's the compressor I've been looking for my whole life. I wasn't kidding. You know, I mean, they're everything I wanted out of them and more.
Nice.
And like so you could put anything on them and they sound good. They nothing sounds bad through them. So like I said, yeah, for me, that's of all the gear I have, which is funny too because it's one of the cheapest pieces I have and it's still one of my favorites.
And
So,
did you sell it? Did you get anything in there that you thought wasn't what you thought it was, and you flipped it for something else, or did you keep everything this year?
I haven't flipped anything. Everything I've bought is in here, but there are definitely things that are on the list of things that I'm going to sell if I need the room.
Right.
And for sure, I think because the DBX 560As are as good as they are, my DBX 160A, which I only have one of, is definitely something that I can live without. It's a great compressor, believe me, but I only have one, and the flexibility of using it on stereo is not there. So if I was going to get rid of anything, it would be that. And like I do have the Line 6 delay, the green one, like you have two of.
Yes.
And it's not that it's not good. It's just that I don't use it on anything. So it's like, okay, that's kind of like taking up a space that if I'm not using it, I don't need it in there.
Freeing it up.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, and also to be perfectly honest with you, the two SSL dynamic modules that I bought off of you.
Yep.
I have to hit them so hard on this system. I don't know why it is, but I'm just not getting enough signal out of the interfaces to them. I mean, I think when you run them fully analog off of an insert on the board, you're probably hitting them with a lot more signal and they're reacting better. But when you're putting them through the DAW and then out the out the loop on the interface, they're just not getting enough signal, and I have to just pound on them to get any compression out of them at all. So I'm like,
okay, those might go too.
Yeah, they're really not. To me, they're not appropriate for this setup, so they're probably going to be gone too, which will free up a couple spaces in the 500 rack for something else I might want to try.
There you go.
But yeah, those are the things that those are the things that I'm looking at going, that they don't need to be here. Like the Lindell, that Lindell stereo effect compressor, that thing's a monster. That's a drum bus compressor and a half for me.
Right.
So yeah, so like I said, there are things in here that I could definitely, go without if I need the space for something else.
Cool. Cool. So Kaiser wants to know, is it worth getting the SSL Ultraviolet EQ 500 series? Well, for the price it is. It's like $500 right now. And Charlie at Ultimate Studios Inc., who's here tonight or was a little while ago, he loves that thing. Every time I ask him about what master bus EQ do you use, he says, buy that. I said, but I already have that on the Fusion with the exception of the mid-band. So that's why I haven't bought it myself, because I already kind of have most of it. I'm in the market for something else, but he loves it. And for that money, yes, it's a great EQ. Yeah. For $500 and you want that, I would buy it at $500.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Day long. Match 3 Music Studio. Mach 3, sorry. Match A. I'm old. Yeah. Dave,
what do you want?
Dave, I know that you are primarily a mix studio, but what are your thoughts on recording wet? When you mean wet, do you mean like with reverb? That kind of, I guess that's what you mean, right?
Well, through any kind of processing probably is what I think you're referring to, would be like recording through compressors, recording through EQs and so on.
Yeah. So yeah, well, like I said a little earlier, typically when I was recording, and again, it's really dependent, but EQ compression to a degree. I try to get the sound at the source and get it kind of in there, but leave myself some wiggle room. Reverbs and delays, not usually. Usually when I was doing it, we would monitor with reverb, certainly for vocals and stuff, but we would print it dry, or we would have a wet and a dry track. So if the wet track didn't work, we had the dry track to build from. So sometimes, I mean, I'm big on committing the sound at the source and getting it in, but it really depends on what it is, and it really depends on the artist. Yeah, and the performance, it's really dependent. So I'm not against it, but I would be personally, I would be more conservative. Where my guess would be, without knowing for sure. Well, he's here. He's chatting it up in the room. I'll bet you Charlie, who tracks all the time. My guess is he's probably got it so dialed in. He knows he's so into that my guess is he would probably process recording on the way in more wet than I would, because that's what he does, and he's got it dialed in, and he knows he knows his go-tos. Where I'm more on the mixing end of these days, that I would probably, if I was to start that back up, I would probably go in slowly, because once you record it, it's there. You can't take it out. And so
Yeah, it's absolutely a situational thing. I mean, like if you have an amazing guitar sound, just throwing a mic in front of a guitar, you're not going to have to mess around with it. But if
Right,
you know,
exactly.
like if you're recording an acoustic guitar that's all kinds of woofy or really spiky, then yeah, running it through a compressor and an EQ on the way in would be beneficial as far as like later production work is concerned. So, like I said,
Yeah,
it's a
right.
situational thing, depending on the
Situational thing.
situation. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
DIY recording studio. Great seeing David SJ getting into the DIY. I'm a massive proponent of home studio recording, DIY audio gear like 500 series, mics, etc. A great way to taste test some bigger pieces. You have David.
you have David. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
first of all, yeah, I've been a DIYer all my life. So you're I mean, I just started getting into it as far as like the studio stuff is concerned, but I've always been a DIY guy. Like, you know, like I would rather assemble a new guitar than go buy one. You know, stuff like that. So, you know, and but you know, like, it was a fun video to make. I wish more people had watched the damn videos.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for nobody to watch it, but we knew that's going to be it.
Work, you know?
But the people that did watch it really did appreciate it. So
yeah,
that's really,
which was very gratifying. You know,
I'm glad you did it, because I don't have. I wasn't going to do that. So I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want a set for your studio, I'll be more than happy to build them for you. That's not a problem. But they're pretty much guaranteed there won't be videos next time.
No,
so, you know.
Yeah, those are going to be offline.
Yeah.
The DIY recording studio says he has three 19-inch 160Xs, the DBXs. He slaps them on a kick, drums, and help guitars cut through the mix. One of the most underrated pro pieces of studio gear. I would agree.
Absolutely.
When I got my 160As, I was shocked how much I liked them and how usable they were. I don't know why. Maybe again, because we all kind of fall into the thing. You know, well, I mean, mine were $600 because they were modded, but even so, a $300 compressor. It's like, wow, I agree. I love them. I have two of them, and I like them a lot. I think they're really, really great pieces of gear for the money.
For sure. You know, I mean, like to me, they punch so far above their weight, it's ridiculous. You know.
Yeah, so, I would say. Okay, so now let's go while people are chatting up, asking more questions. So that's what you got this year.
Yeah.
Let's see, what did I acquire this year? So, well, I got a lot of stuff, but the most recent stuff, the stuff that people really don't know about on the channel yet. So I just installed a pair of the Knee 542 tape emulators. That's the shit, man. Those things.
Yeah.
I had them once before. I sold them. And I'm never selling those things again.
Yeah.
I did a mix with them this weekend. Those things are killer.
They're what you want, you know?
They're exactly what you think they're going to do, and what everybody says they do, and what all the hype is on them. It is that. Now, I got mine on Reverb used, and I got a great deal on them, Dave, as you know. I didn't buy them new, and I got a really good deal. Someone was trying to unload them quick, and so I got a good deal on them, so I snatched them up, and I was like, oh, do I want to spend that much money right before Christmas? So happy I did.
Yeah,
so
but when you texted that to me, like, if you don't buy them, I will. You know what I mean? So it's
you were like, dude, you should buy those. They're a good price.
No, just buy them. Just stop playing around with just buy them.
No, they're awesome. I've now taken the Slate Digital plugin off the master bus in the box. That thing blows that plugin away. And we'll do a video on that. There'll be a video. Also, I just picked up, with help with my good buddy Charlie. Dave doesn't even know this yet. I was looking I originally was looking for a master bus EQ, as I said. And I wasn't, but so I wanted to try out the 500 series, the Trident 80B EQs. And Dave says, try them. He goes, you'll probably really like them on drums too. And although I didn't test it on the master bus, I put them on my drum bus on the mix I did yesterday. I will say, he's right. They sound great on drums. And now I'm going to try moving that API EQ to the master bus just to experiment with things. But I think those Tridents were $450 new on Sweetwater.
Yep.
Great sounding EQs. I mean, I've only just did them on that one mix, and pop a little 50, little 5K. Nice, So for $900, you got a nice set of stereo Trident. Those are nice. They're way different sounding than SSL. They're way different sounding than API.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. So I got to experiment with that. So I just got those. And also, which Dave knows about, but we we haven't done a video yet because we just got it, was the audio-scape DBX 260 VU.
Yeah.
Which I have, which is a stereo compressor of the old 260. I used that this weekend for the first time on acoustic guitars, a stereo pair of acoustics, and it sounded beautiful. But I haven't put it through its paces yet. But so far, sounds great. Doesn't sound anything like the DBX 160s.
Yeah.
No.
If people are paying attention to the background, if you look behind Dave, you'll see that there's another level of rack over there that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, it's still not full. We got some room to expand. I have my eye on my next stereo EQ, but they're always on back order. I'm not even going to tell people because you can't find them. Everyone's got them on back order, so I'm going to wait until I'm not going to tell everyone what it is, and then I got to get a hold of one of these things. But I got a killer unit that I'm looking at. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. So that'll be cool. So those are the three. What else did I get? Those are the three most recent pieces. There's other stuff you guys have seen on the channel, but those are the three ones. And then, on the API 5500 EQ was another recent piece, and I love that thing. I mean, it's pricey, man, but if you want that API big, aggressive sound, that EQ, when I put on drums, unfreaking believable.
Yeah,
love it, but a little pricey. But I like it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bobby says he does. Okay, it's good, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. But I was going to say that EQ, I don't think you can make anything sound bad with that thing. I mean, that you were kicking up 10 dB at 50 on that thing, and it's still
awesome.
Sounded amazing. It's like come on, man. So
sounding nice.
That's on my wish list. If anybody's doing a DIY version of that EQ, I'm going to build it.
Right. Bobby says that he doesn't use hardware, but they're great videos. Yeah, Bobby's really.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby. He's been a home recording made easy disciple for, I don't know, since the beginning.
Yeah, he's been there the whole time.
Well, I tell people all the time, you don't have to buy this stuff and be into hybrid to not learn. You can still. I mean, a lot of it is translatable. I mean, it's just gears, plugins. A lot of the things that we talk about are very transferable to plugins. So you'll still learn stuff from this, even if you're not ever in the market to buy any new gear. Let's see. Charlie says, you're absolutely correct. That is a situational thing. You must be about tracking wet.
Tracking, yeah.
Yeah, but I treat tracking like the beginning of a mix. Yeah, I get it. I have spent a lot of time experimenting on my own, and I've made my mistakes privately. Well, and he also records. Charlie's been doing some really cool videos lately on, I don't know what the series of the videos are called, but where he'll get like 25 microphones. Yeah. And he'll do drum room, a drum mono room mic, and he puts up, his whole mic or half his mic locker, and he listens, and he does a lot of that experimenting, and he's been putting it on camera, which I think is really cool, and it's very informative. And I was doing some of that, not to that degree, on some of the videos that we did, where we were listening to I think we were doing drum bus compressors, and we were comparing my 5 different compressors, and just experiment, just to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone. So you know what your gear is capable of doing. So he does a lot of those videos, which is really cool. And like he says, he tracks a lot. So he knows, he's learning even more and more. If I want that guitar sound, I know exactly how to EQ it, compress it, and mic it up, and then mixing is just about done on maybe that guitar, which is a good tracking engineer. That's what they do.
Yeah, what I loved about those videos he does too is you stick a mic on something that you would think is completely inappropriate for the application, and it actually works. It's like, okay, wow, that's a surprise,
Right. So I had that epiphany with the LA3 clones, the VA3As.
Yes. Yeah.
I use those usually on electric guitars because I like the way LA3s sound on electrics, but I have a pair of them, and I put them on a drum bus. I was like, wow, man, that sounds great on a drum bus. I never would have considered doing that.
They absolutely smacked on that drum bus. That was amazing.
I was really shocked. I was like, wow, those things are a little bit more usable than I really thought they were. But some of it, when you're working all day and you don't always have time to sit down and just experiment with your own projects, it's always good to do that every now and again. And then, Charlie's been filming that stuff, which is really cool and informative for people. And I'm trying to do some of the same so people, see, hey, this is what you should be doing in your studio too.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got the LN76 Oh, Lindell must be
Yeah,
76.
the
And although I
Lindells.
can't
Yeah.
remember the sound of the original 1176 that he used 32 years ago, the Lindell is super close. They're coming out with an LA version, probably an LA 2A version, and he's getting
Yeah.
those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, Dave, you got some Lindell gear, right?
I have a couple Lindell pieces I have a couple 500 rack pieces, and they're fantastic for the money. I mean, for
Yeah.
the money, especially, they're amazing. And I don't, recently it turned out that I actually have an in with the owner of Lindell that I did not know existed. I actually have an in with the guy that owns and distributes Black Lion and Lindell that I did not know existed.
Right.
So I'm not sure how I'm gonna, you know, do anything about it yet. But yeah, I actually know the guy that owns it. So it's like, okay, that was an eye-opening moment for me. And I'm hoping to be able to parlay that into some content and stuff over the coming year,
Yeah.
but I haven't had a chance to act on any of it yet because I'm just waiting till after the holiday season before I try to do anything because they're buried over there. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Holiday season and whatnot. Yeah. So that'll
yeah.
be really cool. So maybe we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. I didn't know Dave was going to reveal that. I didn't know he could talk about that. But yeah, we
Yeah. Well,
we
I mean,
talked about it a little bit.
yeah, I'm not telling them who it is or what the actual situation is yet because, like I
Yeah.
said, I just don't know how I can parlay this into anything. But yeah, I had an actual conversation with the guy that owns it, and he seems receptive towards working with me a little bit. So we will see how that
Wonderful.
parlays next year.
Yeah, that would be
So,
fantastic. So again, if we're
yeah.
building relationships and we could get some gear to try some stuff and test some stuff and kind of
Mhm.
collaborate, we would be happy to do it because we like learning. Because I don't know anything about. I mean, I have a Black Line Audio Bluey, but I don't know anything else
Mhm.
about the rest of their products, and I don't have any Lindell gear. So I would love to. I would love to try some just to see. What is
Yeah.
it? Maybe it's really good stuff, man.
Yep.
Who
Well, like
knows?
I said, I definitely want to bring the Pultec, the Lindell Pultec, over to the studio to you just to
Oh,
do a
yeah.
side by side. I mean,
With the EQP.
that's going to be an interesting comparison to see what does a $500 500 rack thing compare to an actual Pultec clone. How close did they get? I mean, I'm not expecting it to be dead on. Believe me, you know what I
Well,
mean.
it's a different
But
circuit. The Lindell
yeah,
doesn't have tubes in it, does it?
no, the Lindell has
Solid
no
state.
tubes in it.
Okay,
Plus,
so it's
also
going to
they're
sound a little different.
yeah, plus they are detented knobs too, so you can't go in between 6 and 7. You need to be on 6 or 7.
Okay.
So,
Fine.
but yeah, but it was I'm just curious to see, as far as like a solid state emulation of a Pultec, how close did they get? You know what I mean? Like I don't expect to be perfect, but I just want to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure they sound great, and it'll sound different, and that's a good thing. I don't think if it sounded exactly the same, it would be cool to have something that sounds a little different. Even Pulse Technologies, even the company that makes Pultec, they make 500 series Pultecs that are solid state.
Yep, yeah, they do,
and they're pretty pricey, but they get really high praises if you read reviews on them. So I'm sure those sound great too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Charlie says tracking and mixing is no different than learning an instrument. You have to practice.
Absolutely.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. I say it all the time.
No kidding. Yep.
You
No kidding.
you don't learn this shit in a 5-minute YouTube video. And so when people get on me, oh, the videos are too long, you guys, I said, look, man, then you have no patience to learn this craft. This is no different than learning how to play an instrument well. We can all sit down and in 5 minutes, maybe play a couple of things on the drums or change a chord or two. But if you want to really learn how to get good at anything, what's the rule? You got to put 10,000 hours in, but if you really want to get good at this stuff, you got to practice. And this is no different.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Yeah. And I could look at it that way too, is because like I have not been doing enough just flat mixing lately. You know what I mean? And I do feel like my chops are down. It's like guitar playing chops. It's the same thing. Like one of the things I do want to do in 2023 too, is I want to get a lot of mixes done that I haven't been doing enough lately. So, I just have to sit down and mix too. So
it's like going to the gym. It's a muscle. You have to exercise the muscle. If you don't, you start to lose your sharpness.
Yeah.
Mock Music says he would like us to do a review on the Lindell 76 and the Lindell 2A.
Yeah.
If we if Dave can pull that off, then we'll do it. If we can pull it off, we'll do it.
I'm not making any promises here. You know what I mean? It was literally a 5-minute conversation with a guy, and I was sitting there going, "Wait a minute, you own the company?" So I was like, "Okay, So yeah, we'll have to see how it works out.
Yeah, we'll try. If he can make it happen, we would be happy to do it. I mean, we just we like trying new stuff. That's for sure. So, but just like with everything, if we're going to bring a piece of gear, we're going to be honest.